Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly Wednesday stream, and we'll be talking about your favorite news stories and your least favorite news stories. We'll be talking cosmology. We may be even making phone calls transcontinentally and featuring them on the live stream. So I'll be back with you here in a quick moment. In the meantime, don't forget to go visit the links in the description. One of the ones you may find is for the Lucid BOGO sale. Yeah, there's a BOGO sale. Buy one, get one free. It's Wellness Wednesday or something. Again, link below the video to that, so check it out. We'll be back in just a minute here. I just got to make sure that we've got the stream going to our monitor and these sorts of exciting inside baseball things that we do here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And make sure you leave us a comment. If you've got a news story you'd like us to cover, I might even comment on it. The weird motions, it's because my back is shattered. So it's just a thing that happens sometimes, folks. And, quick fitness tip. If you're really good at a thing, be very careful. Because what will happen is you'll get muscles that are really strong in specific areas. And on the opposite side of your body, the muscles won't be as strong. And your body will try to rip itself in half. So this is one of the reasons why core exercises are so important. Yeah, core workouts. It's not very glamorous. There are no glam muscles in your core workout. However, you should do it anyway because your core is what prevents you from ripping yourself in half. So any sort of a functional activity, whether it's kicking or doing a bench press. I guess a bench press really isn't a functional activity, but functional activities require your core to be strong because otherwise you'll tear yourself in two. So the same thing goes with like cycling muscles, for example, right? Make sure you do some hamstring workouts because when your quads get really strong, your leg will try to rip itself in half. We're going to mention the age of the universe. We'll be talking about the ultra-fast space winds that are involved in galactic evolution, complaints in certain things with respect to some science, Occam's razor, and if you've got specific stories to cover, we can talk about that as well. Maybe we'll even talk about coronal holes, one of the more mysterious features of space weather. And of course, since we've got some coronal mass ejection impacts on the way, maybe we should have a pre-apocalypse party. Let us know in the comments if you think we ought to have a pre-apocalypse party. Yes, thanks for letting us know, Robert. I did see the buffering. I think it's okay now. So yes. And by the way, another thing here as well, announcements about not just affiliates and sponsors, but the latest development with respect to our Science Foundation. So also large solar flares continuing to happen exactly where you'd expect if you watch our daily space weather videos right down here in the southwestern limb. Let's get even more up-to-date data on that. There may be a few extra frames here. So there's that. That is just today, by the way. That's the SDO 94 angstroms wavelength. And also you can find in the links below the video our Redbubble shop as we endeavor to make cosmology and astronomy science again. So, of course, our regular viewers may be aware that there are some emerging plausible hypotheses coming out with respect to lots of cosmology and astrophysics subjects. It's an exciting time to be talking about these subjects. So that's today's featured product for the live stream. There was a different one for this morning's daily space weather video. Make sure you check that out if you haven't. And if you have, may that solar wind be at your back. The 20% sale, the 20% off sale of everything in the Redbubble shop expires, I think, at some point today. So buy one, get one free sale on the Hemp Lucid shop, and of course the 20% off on the Redbubble shop. Sales galore for our stuff. And it's new underwear day. We'd offer you some similar underwear options in the spacewear section. Check out your spacewear section on the Amazon shop. It's amazon.com/shop/smashomash. Yeah. If you need a radiation reflecting hat, we've got it covered. So now you may have heard about Smash-O-Mash's mission. You may not. I don't know. It's rather complex. We had to narrow that down for our nonprofit organization. So shout out to our board member, Smash staff, and one of our viewers who will currently remain unnamed. So to form a nonprofit organization, folks, you got to have 3 people. You got to have a board, 3 people who agree to form the entity. There's some of what was going on with it. It is, there you go. There is our less wide mission. So looking to advance science via heliophysics. Sounds like a crazy idea, but it's the right time to do it. And what's great about that is that, well, it is the exact right time to do it. So it's just one of those things. It'll never be now again. So it's kind of important when you think of it. And let's take a look at some additional imagery here. Let's bring up one of our composite wavelengths, since we've got a sweet solar flare going on here. So give that a minute to spool up there from the SDO website. It's got to download a bunch of images. And let us know in the comments, again, if you've got any news stories you'd like us to cover. Or leave us a comment just saying, screw you, or you're an alarmist jerko. We're mad that you're a meanie when it comes to space weather. You're trying to spook people and get them to get into their bunkers. All right, so yes, thank you everybody for leaving comments. Again, if you've got news stories to cover, let us know. Maybe we'll have to drink a toast a little bit later in the video, depending on if certain board members should happen to arrive at the live stream or not. That'll change things. So here's just today from SDO in multiple wavelengths there. And it looks like we're getting a partial lunar eclipse. Or that might have just been a motion by the SDO. Let's briefly take a look at that. Looks like the SDO may have suddenly jerked. Not to be confused with a geomagnetic jerk. That would be a person who is bad at space weather. Or perhaps a person who talks nonsense about space weather on YouTube. That would be a geomagnetic jerk. All right, so okay, thanks for bringing me back onto the subjects at hand, Robert. So let's see what we can do here. And before we go anywhere else, before we make any transcontinental Discord calls, let's check and see if we can find a very important YouTube channel. Yeah. It's called Eugene the Philosopher. Yeah, with a T. Eugene the Philosopher. If you haven't subscribed, please do. He's been on our channel multiple times. He won't let me on his channel because I'm too controversial for him. Just kidding, folks. He doesn't let me on his channel because he doesn't like me. And but anyway, no, just kidding. So Eugene is a Quark's worst nightmare, and Eugene likes plausible theories when it comes to science. So let's do something a little different here, and we're going to bring up our Discord window for once and see if Eugene is around. He may be recording a video right now, so he may not be available. Either way, please make sure you take this moment to go subscribe to his channel, Eugene the Philosopher. And oh, let me put the URL in the chat. Why didn't I think of that? When it was passed, the Second Amendment was unable to place comments in chat. We had to type them out on a stone tablet in order to get them onto people's screens back then. And of course, you couldn't just go out and buy a cannon. You had to construct a catapult or carry an atlatl or some other highly advanced technology. Anyway, there's the link to Mr. Philosopher's page on YouTube, and we trust that it will be a delight for you to visit it. Meanwhile, if you'd like to visit our own page, that would be a delight. It's smashomash.com after all. That is our humble URL. And let's see if we can give Mr. Philosopher here a call to see what kind of rubes are occupying his neighborhood today. And for some reason, I believe I've forgotten how to operate the software, folks. So it may be a few more hours before I simply open a chat window and press the call button. I know it's agonizing for all of you folks who are watching this occur. But what the hell? Where? Oh, there we go. And I don't think Eugene's going to be up for answering, as he does not appear to be online. We will call anyway. We will leave him an obnoxious voicemail. Just kidding, folks. And I can't hear anything. And the Discord chat has been cancelled. We've been cancelled. You've been cancelled. Alex Jones has been cancelled. And I fear this video may be demonetized simply for uttering the words Alex and Jones in proximity to one another. Oh, no. Dear God, what a curse, a foul curse has befallen our houses, and indeed our souls. All right, enough of that. So, seriously, though, go subscribe to Eugene's channel. Regardless, he's probably putting out a video soon. He does have a Patreon also, so you can get content earlier and things. He's at 434 subscribers. If he is not at 1,000 subscribers by the time midnight falls tonight, his soul will turn into a pumpkin and be cast into the river Styx, or perhaps an ever-deepening and darkening abyss. All right, so, anyway. Yeah, there's been an M-class flare happening down here. It was kind of, I think I remember saying something about that. But let's talk some news stories, okay? Because we've got some interesting news stories. So we're going to break this down story by story. The Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. Allow me to add you as standard moderator. Singed sanity. Enjoy your wrench and do not censor anybody, or there will be repercussions. All right, so that's the first story. The first story is about the ultra-fast space winds that shape the evolution of galaxies. In other words, cosmic ray flux. Yeah, cosmic ray flux. It shapes the evolution of galaxies, folks. Now, does this mean that stars are electric, or space is electric, or everything's electric? Well, certainly not. But it is interesting, and it accounts for some things, some disparities. It's considered a very important discovery in the realm of cosmology. The idea that the winds are controlled, that the galactic, evolution is caused by these ultra-fast cosmic winds, interstellar winds, streams of material moving around at significant portions of the speed of light, relativistic particles, things like that. Turns out they shape galactic evolution. Now, who would have guessed? I'm so amazed by this, I can't even believe it. Pardon my sarcasm, but it is, yeah. So let me put up a graphic for you here, just to be nice. So there's the graphic from SciTech Daily. It's from scitechdaily.com, and it's very nice. But the point is, folks, ultra-fast winds shape galactic evolution. So, yeah. The research project comes from a project called Subways. Not the sandwiches. A different kind of Subways. It stands for a thing. It's called an acronym. And it stands for supermassive black hole winds in the X-rays. Yeah, supermassive black hole winds in the X-rays. So, okay. All right, good. Let's see what we have about the article here. Active galactic nucleus-driven winds are highlighting different phases and scales involved in the outflow. So now, it is kind of a known thing, folks, that there is an inverse proportional relationship between the activity in the galactic poloidal fields versus the galactic toroid. So, in other words, typically, when we have a galaxy, let me switch to the... There we go. Typically, when we have a galaxy that has very bright, active poloidal fields, these conical fields that come out of the galactic poles, especially when they're perpendicular to the galactic plane, when these are bright, the galactic disk, this part here, the toroid, tends to be dim. And when the galactic disk is bright, when this is very bright, this tends to be dim. It's an inverse proportional relationship between the toroidal fields and the poloidal fields. By the way, this happens with the sun also. When the sun's poloidal fields are what we would call bright, that's solar minimum, and when they're dim, it's what we'd call solar maximum, as the toroidal portion of our solar system is bright. Now, don't let that confuse you into thinking that galaxies and solar systems are the same. They're very, very, very different. Not the same at all. But, however, there are some scalable features when it comes to both stars and galactic cores. Is it possible the galactic cores are just really big stars? I mean, that's really not outside the realm of what you'd call mainstream cosmology theory, right? So, anyway, and let me take this headset off because I don't need it. So anyway, so this is an interesting story. I mean, if you weren't aware of it, again, it's on SciTech Daily, scitechdaily.com. And it's, of course, they use the clickbaity term UFOs, the ultra-fast space winds that shape the evolution of galaxies. So again, just to reiterate what I just said, when we have a galactic disk that has a lot of X-ray emitting stars visible in it, that galaxy tends to have dim galactic jets, and vice versa. When it has bright galactic jets, it tends to not have, or at least display, a lot of bright X-ray emitting stars around its disk. It could have to do with the stars' orientations, or a combination of their orientations and the actual activity there, or it could just be the activity. So, a lot of stuff is a little bit deceptive and perhaps even counterintuitive when you're looking at things that are very far away. But there is certainly an inverse proportional relationship between the brightness of the toroid and the brightness of the poloid. The poloid being those bright light blue colored lines there. That's the material traveling up and down the poloidal fields. And when the sun is at solar minimum, it looks more like that because it has bright radio jets at its poles. And when it's at solar maximum, it has bright radio jets kind of all around, so they are less oriented at its poles. And here's what I mean by that. I mean, we show it regularly on the channel because, well, so there is what we're talking about. And at solar maximum, or near solar maximum, we're like a year out almost. And keep in mind, this solar cycle is going to be stronger than the last solar cycle, a lot stronger, which means it's also going to be shorter, because weak solar cycles tend to be lengthy and strong solar cycles tend to be shorter. So that's what's going on now. And if you look back to this time in 2019, only 4 years ago, things were very different, as the fields were very much oriented at the poles. Let's actually bring up the line of sight field plot here instead. So there you go. You can see the fields are like completely just fixated at the poles here. That's about 4 or 5 months from solar minimum. And that is a normal feature. That is just the way it works. The toroidal field there is the B field, depicted in blue, and then the poloidal fields would be in red and green, for south is red and green is north. Green is north and red is south. And then if we go to the current imagery, this is what things look like today, as the fields are in the process of reversing. And when they're in the middle of that reversal process, that is what we call solar maximum. So solar minimum is the solar poloidal maximum. So when the sun's poloidal fields are in this fixed state, then the toroidal field is weak. So in other words, you don't see sunspots. You don't see a lot of strong magnetic field in the Earth environment. We call that solar minimum. Anyway, moving right along here. Don't forget the buy one, get one free sale. Links in the description to that. Here are the past couple hours of what's been going on, and it's been turning out to be an exciting solar cycle, a perfect time to found a science foundation, especially one about heliophysics. And let's do a cosmic ray report. Since we're tying things together here, cosmic rays are proportional to solar sunspot activity. When you see high cosmic ray flux, you see low solar activity. When you see low cosmic ray flux, you see high solar activity. It's the inverse proportional relationship between cosmic ray flux and sunspots. So here is the OLU neutron monitor. And what's great about the OLU neutron monitor is that it depicts cosmic rays all the way back to 1964. And then it shows you the last 30 days and the last 24 hours. And surprisingly, despite having some significant solar energetic particle events, check it out. No Forbush minimum. So sometimes when we see solar energetic particle events, we see a major drop in cosmic ray flux. Almost immediately, we don't see that at the moment, despite the major solar energetic particle event that's recently struck. So that's interesting. And what else is interesting is this right down here. So if you look way down here at the bottom right corner, you see that? That is slightly lower levels than were achieved in solar cycle 24. We haven't seen levels this low since all the way back around 2006. So lowest cosmic ray flux levels in 18 years, 17, 18 years. Cosmic ray flux levels just not going out of control, and solar activity just not shutting down. I would also note that the highest cosmic ray flux levels ever measured were right in here around 2009, 2010. They never got that high at the solar cycle 24 to 25 solar minimum. See that dotted line there, clearly below the dotted line. And this stuff does matter, folks, because, again, this is inversely proportional to solar sunspot activity. These things line up quite precisely over a time scale back to, we think, 1,000 years. So this is a major thing, and it should be more well understood. But in any case, that's the OLU neutron monitor. So here's the past 30 days, and you can see there is a downtick over the past 30 days, but a surprisingly low downtick despite the solar energetic particle events, as the plasma itself is what's believed to lower the cosmic ray flux. DOMB Antarctica showing a more marked downtick in the past 30 days. DOMB Antarctica, practically the same graph as DOMC. Let's go way up north to Mexico City. Mexico City here almost flat over the past 30 days there at Mexico City. So a very different cosmic ray environment there at OLU, Antarctica, and Mexico City. Going even farther north to Athens, Greece. Athens, Greece showing a bit of a downtick. So that's a similar downtick to OLU and Antarctica. Athens down over the past 30 days for cosmic ray flux. And here is Apatity and Barentsburg. So that's a slight downtick at Apatity, and at Barentsburg it is some data missing there, but for what we have over the past 30 days, a similar downtick. So that's the cosmic ray report. Was it good for you? I just find it interesting that despite a significant solar energetic particle event, so here it is, check it out. Here's this solar energetic particle event. It's sort of a two-bagger. There you go. So here's the past 7 days. You can see there was actually two separate events there over the past, oh, wait a minute. There we go. Two separate events there over the past, in the hell? Hey now. There you go. There we are. So 2 separate events there in terms of proton events, and one is just subsiding to around warning levels now. And despite that significant SEP, especially the second one, the one that came in right after midnight on the 18th, that one is the kind of thing you would expect to be associated with a 4-bush minimum, where all the cosmic ray detectors showed a significant decrease, and whoops, didn't happen. So there must be some reason why cosmic ray flux sometimes doesn't dip despite there being ample plasma in the Earth system. Wouldn't you agree? Anyway, not sure if that one's been studied. That was one we were going to run past Eugene, the particle physicist, as it is rather important, again, because it is the cosmic ray flux is almost exactly inversely proportional to solar sunspot activity for about 1,000 years, we think. And that is based on isotopic data from tree rings going back to Switzerland, 1,000-year-old church in Switzerland. So, yeah, it's pretty serious. Space weather, it keeps getting weirder. However weird you thought it was, I'll bet it's weirder than you think. Even stars. Getting stranger and stranger. Which brings me to our next story. So this one has been certainly pretty popular as well. And wowzers, that is a crazy image. Let's bring that one up. Just a second here. How about them apples from the James Webb Telescope? Jeez. That is berserk. What do you think about that image? Now that is showing, that's carbon is the brownish color there, and hydrogen is the reddish color. And that is some pretty crazy imagery there from the James Webb. That is of a fairly well-studied nebula, actually. And not sure if it was quite studied that well before, but in any case, that one is a pretty sweet one. And what this story is about is just complex chemicals. Complex chemicals there showing up in the Rho Ophiuchi Nebula. And again, the let's see, molecular hydrogen is red, and some stars appear to be showing a circumstellar disk with possible future planetary systems around them. So let's see, the lighter colored gas surrounding S1 consists of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, a family of carbon-based molecules that are among the most common compounds found in space. So a bunch of carbon there around that star especially, and you can see the way it's sort of creating a little carved out portion. Man, that is an incredible image. Let's switch this to the full screen. Check out them apples. Dag. Allow me to get out of the way of that. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. That is some pretty sweet imagery. A great view into that huge molecular cloud there of complex hydrocarbons. And there you can see filaments of hydrogen being blasted by radiation by stellar emissions. All of those red hydrogen areas there being illuminated and ionized and so on by those, they look like bright blue stars. Of course, this one here is really muffled by some gas. And let's get over that. That's basically just oohs and ahs there. I mean, of course, there might be some interesting aspects to the chemical components and so on. You can find that article on SciTech Daily. The title is Star Spangled Spectacle. That's a catchy name. James Webb's Stunning Year of Cosmic Revelations. Do we have a slideshow? I think we may. Let's just see what we have here. When NASA says they're showing off a whole year of observations. Oh boy, what do we have? What do you got? Just checking to see if they have a whole slideshow here that we can show the entire slideshow. Yeah, I'm not seeing much else, but here's a different image actually. Let's bring this one up. This is, let's see. That one might be better. There you get the full view. I guess I can cut to full screen. Or can I? No, I definitely can. All right, there you go. That should work. So, there you got the scale. And it's telling you the spectra down there at the bottom. So I got to say that is one of the better ones from James Webb. That is pretty sweet. That is the Rho-Ophiuchi Nebula. Now, I think the most interesting story of all is the cosmic paradigm shift, where somebody has an idea that, hey, guys, maybe what explains stars that are older than the entire universe is that it's actually 26.7 billion years old. Yeah, ever think of that? Maybe it's 26.7 billion years old, not 13.6 billion years old. I mean, the margin of error there is only nearly 100%. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, there are some issues. There are some issues indeed. And one of them is, of course, redshift. Redshift of distant objects. There are problems with that redshift. Problems known as the tired light problem, which I'm not going to get into the whole thing about the tired light problem, but what I am going to say is that there are a whole series of issues with respect to cosmology, not just the distances to really distant objects. There are a whole series of problems, and the series of problems lie in heliophysics. So I'm not somebody who lies in heliophysics. I tell the truth in heliophysics. And basically, the reason that I'm in the realm of heliophysics is because of cosmology. So what has happened is I took astronomy in the mid-1990s at the Kutztown University of Pennsylvania. And like it or not, it's a perfectly fine educational institution. It's really no better or worse than any place else. It might be less prestigious. It might be more prestigious depending on if you went to community college or Harvard. I don't know. I view all knowledge as just simply knowledge. And, the farther into the future we get, folks, the less relevant where you got the information is. So, of course, there will constantly be, people that are promoting this or promoting that, but ultimately information is information. It's not biased. People are biased. Information is neutral. Information is neutral. So, I'm not neutral, but information is. I am definitely aligned to one side or the other, and that side is objective facts. A good faith interpretation of how stuff like that works. Now, that's not a photograph, folks. That's an artist's rendition of the astral plane and the ethereal plane depicted in D&D or something. That is not CGI. That is digital art. All right? So, and we constantly get comments on YouTube, less so on BitChute, now that we barely put any content on BitChute, but we constantly get comments on YouTube about this is CGI and so on. And let me just bring something up here. So this imagery right here is 100% CGI, all right? That right there. Now those features that you can see, like that huge filament, that crown filament down at the south heliographic pole, that is a real thing. You can see that from a ground-based solar telescope. If you have a hydrogen alpha telescope, you'll be able to clearly see that filament. All right? However, that image is CGI because that is wavelengths that you cannot see with the naked eye. It's a digital image. It depicts ionized helium, a very tiny portion of the extreme ultraviolet electromagnetic spectrum. So it's not detectable to the naked eye. In fact, it would burn your eye if you looked at it because it's ionizing radiation. Extreme ultraviolet, it doesn't make it down to the Earth's surface. You have to be in space to see those wavelengths. So you can see some of those features from the ground level. They're not fake. They aren't fake features. But that is CGI because you can't see ionized helium. You can't see the 304 angstroms portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, the extreme ultraviolet wavelengths, with the naked eye. And this brings me to why, when you see the auroras at mid-latitude, make sure you take videos or photographs of those aurorae, because if you're able to see them with the naked eye, the camera will actually pick them up in their full, well, at least a larger percentage of their emissions, because most of the aurora borealis and australis are ultraviolet light. You can't see them. If you are able to see the aurora, wait till you see what it looks like through digital photography. Right, so yeah, again, thanks for bringing us back to one of the main points of the video, Robert, coronal holes. And I'm just going to say this. I suspect that the mechanism that derives coronal hole high-speed streams is not the hole itself. It is the walls of the coronal hole. In other words, it's not so much the cave, but the walls of the cave, because the plasma is running up the walls of the cave. So, yeah, this is also believed to be why the material doesn't kind of come directly out of the coronal hole. It kind of comes out at an angle. This has to do with like the bond angles of the superheated gas, probably, as that affects how it makes its sudden turn. All right, so what do we got? All right, so I've shared Eugene the Philosopher's link. You can see that in the live chat. What do we got? What do we got? Any news stories you'd like me to cover? Ah, yes. Welcome from Tin TV. They haven't asked me to be back on. I guess they don't like me. But yeah, I'll go back on if they ask. And by the way, congratulations on taking on the massive personal risk and expense of being a board member for an NGO. Smash staff and our viewer who decided to be on our board. And by the way, folks, in the future we may decide to pick up more board members. That could be a thing. Whether or not they'll have a vote, who knows? There may be board members who don't get a vote who are still going to the meeting and things like this. There are all kinds of structures that you can have if you want to form yourself a nonprofit organization. Smashomash.org. You can actually visit the URL. We've owned the URL for years. Smashomash.org. Even some of our Redbubble products even feature the Smashomash.org URL. Ah, yes. Welcome, Matt W.V. Soaring. The pilot there, I believe. West Virginia pilot, not too far away, practically my neighbor. Could you glide all the way to the Lehigh Valley from your location? So here is our Jetstream map. And so you've got the jet stream is getting a little incoherent here. You've got an acceleration there in the northern, is that the Caspian, I think? Now there's the jet stream scenario for Europe. Yeah, you've definitely still got a jet stream. By the way, it looks like Finland is actually getting some extremely warm weather there. Also Sweden. Norway, not so much. Finland there getting some unseasonably warm weather, I would suspect, as the jet stream blows that in. All right, what else do we have here? What else do we have? Yeah, so I mean, I love the story about how the age of the universe might be approximately twice what was believed. That's my favorite story of quite a long time. And keep in mind, folks, I was making fun of WIMPs all the way back in the mid-1990s. I already thought WIMPs were funny way back then. So, give me some credit here, as I've been doing this a while. Like I said in this morning's daily space weather video, I've been studying cosmology since about 1979. And I'm telling you, I mark my words, cosmology is driven by heliophysics. The information that should be known from heliophysics applies to all of cosmology. And it's a lot weirder than you might think. It's really weird. And let that sink in for a moment. I'm going to step away and I'll be back in just a moment. right, I'm coming back. All right. I've come back from the bunker again, just to try to make sure that people were still manacled to the walls. I came back from the bunker again, just to make sure that the chat was not full of my friends. Just kidding, friends. So yeah, thanks for leaving a comment. Ah, yes. Lucid dreaming is exciting stuff. Lucid dreaming. Let us know in the comments if you've had a lucid dream, folks. That's some good advice right there. So yeah, I mean, based on the way folks calculate the age of a star, it's based on its color, diameter, brightness. Based on that, we've got stars that are believed to be older than the universe. If you're still believing the universe is 13.6 billion years old, well, get out of here. Maybe it's 26.8 billion years old. Or it's possible that both of these theories are completely incorrect and stars don't evolve that way, as we've never seen one of those go to a red giant stage, and we've seen them wink out. We've seen them go to a black nothing stage. We've seen stars become black dwarfs and then suddenly turn back on. It definitely does not back up the concordance model of stellar evolution, the lambda cold dark matter model. And when I say I was making fun of WIMPs since the mid-90s, I'm not talking about athletically unskilled people. I'm talking about weakly interacting massive particles, otherwise known as dark matter. What most people's concept of dark matter is WIMPs. Weakly interacting massive particles. In other words, particles that have mass, but they don't like to do anything. So they have gravity, but they don't like to interact with anything. So they're very antisocial particles, WIMPs. That's why they're weakly interacting massive particles. They have mass, but they're like, ooh, we don't like to do things with things. WIMPs. And things like the Hubble constant and redshift and distance measurements and the speed of galaxies accelerating away from each other, allegedly, this might all be completely incorrect. Now, there are also people out there that don't believe that the cosmic microwave background is a thing. So keep in mind, folks, in space, all of the stars and galaxies and nebulae and cosmic rays striking nebulae and all those funky things going on out there, these things are all emitting radiation in all kinds of different bands. There's radiation right now passing through a cloud that's refracting down to a different wavelength. So, you might be seeing X-rays, but because of its passing through a magnetic field and a bunch of energetic particles and so on, you may be seeing some completely different wavelengths than what is being emitted from the source. So this is sort of an important feature it seems like it's only starting to be understood, folks. The spectra is important, all right? The spectra doesn't lie. People might lie, but the spectra doesn't lie. So if you just take images like that, there you go. That's 94 angstroms. It's definitely CGI. It's part of the extreme ultraviolet wavelength. You can't see it with the naked eye. You can't see it from the ground level. It's definitely CGI. It's definitely not fake. You can see all of these things happening in other wavelengths. There's not some guy sitting there on Photoshop all day creating that at NASA going, we'll trick them into thinking that a star is a thing. Oh, that'll be so slick. You can definitely see the features through like a $200 telescope with solar filter, folks. So, I mean, if you think space is fake, go out at nighttime sometime, not in a city. I don't know. All right. So should we cover terrestrial stories, folks? I mean, I'll talk about stuff on Earth. I swear to God. I swear to God. Troll McClure, I appreciate your thinking about anything coming from the galactic poles and how long it would take to affect the toroidal field and so on. I appreciate the thinking behind that. I won't really say too much more than that because it's, again, that there certainly is an inverse proportion to the toroidal fields versus the poloidal fields. And an important thing, because, I noticed your comment there. So, let me just comment on that. The B field is largely the degree to which the north and south poloidal fields overlap each other. So that's sort of like the net field. The net field is the B field. So here it's depicted in blue. If we go back to 2019, they're much more stable and it's much more easy to explain. Here you have this very stable magnetic field environment. Here you've got your toroidal field in blue. And the strength of that field has to do with the net overlap of the north and south poloidal fields. So, this is why it's so interesting to see the sun at solar minimum, right? You can't just look at the peaks of your graph. You got to look at the troughs of your graph as well. And, solar minimum tells us all kinds of interesting stuff about the physics. For example, did you know that at solar minimum, it's about 4% more likely to see an X-class flare over here than it is to see one over here? Is it possible that the same flare could be an X-class flare because it's occurring at the limb and our perspective of the material that is emitting the X-rays is affecting the intensity of the flare that we see from planet Earth? A situation known as anisotropy. So this is sort of what we think is going on. And we're actually in the process of trying to obtain data from the solar orbiter, I believe. The ESA's solar orbiter has an X-ray detector on it. So they've already got plenty of data about X-rays. And it's pretty interesting. So I suspect that they already know about this. Maybe they think the data isn't good because they're detecting the same flare from multiple X-ray detectors around Earth and seeing a different reading and thinking that it's some kind of a indication that their X-ray detector isn't calibrated right. So let's hope not. And let's hope that they can come through with the data and that the X-ray detector is calibrated right. Because, again, some of these things are scalable, right? So the galaxy is nothing like the solar system, but a galactic core is a bit like a star. In fact, probably is a star. It's probably the oldest star and the biggest star in the galaxy. Some galaxies might have a bigger star that's older and bigger, in which case their common center of gravity is going to be all skewed, and they'll be orbiting each other in a very weird and irregular fashion. And you'll have a thing like an elliptical galaxy instead of a spiral galaxy. See what I'm getting at? So, and also remember that all rotating objects precess. So that's another feature that stars, planets, and galaxies all do. They all rotate and they all precess, meaning their axis draws a circle depending on how much it precesses. So anyway, that's about all I can handle. But maybe we should cover some terrestrial news stories. Yeah. So let's see what headlines I've got here. I'm gonna leave the SDO 94 angstroms. Actually, I'm gonna switch that. Screw that. We're putting up the house favorite. Actually, let's show 304 because It's better at showing flares, folks. 171 angstroms, as much as we love it, here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, we are still what the why you load now, you son of a. Anyway, while 171 angstroms is a very delightful, aesthetically pleasing wavelength from the SDO, it's bad at showing flares. It's bad at showing solar flares, probably because they happen higher in the corona. But I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. For whatever reason, 171 angstroms sucks at showing flares. 304 angstroms is pretty good at showing flares. So we'll go with that for now. We'll leave that on the slow speed. And I'm going to go check out news stories. So give me a minute here. Again, the last one we covered is a cosmic paradigm shift. New research doubles universe's age to 26.7 billion years. Yeah. From 13.6 to 26.7, a margin of error of almost 100%. I'm not calling them liars. I'm just saying that I wasn't sold on the age estimate in the first place, or the revised age estimate. And just working my way to a news site that shows news. Oh, we promised our viewers things that we haven't yet delivered. So let's deliver on that. I meant to talk about Occam's razor because I suspect that's kind of important when it comes to science. So essentially, it's pretty simple, folks. It means if you've got two solutions to a problem and one of them is really complex, it's more likely that the simpler solution is the likely correct solution to your scientific conundrum. So in science, what we do is we say, look at that. How does it do that? Like, exactly how does it do that? And then we go, well, and maybe it does this, and maybe it does that. Maybe it has to do this and 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 this to accomplish that. Or maybe it only has to do this and this, and the rest of that just kind of happens because of the nature of this. The point is, Occam's razor applies to all of your science. If a really complicated, drawn-out explanation is required in terms that you can't describe, it's possible that the elegance of the universe is telling you that that is nonsense. And that is where Occam's razor basically, I mean, I don't want to get too into the weeds about improvising on Occam's razor because I'll offend somebody like Eugene the philosopher. But it's Occam's razor is named after William of Occam, if you weren't aware. And let's bring him on screen, folks. We can't get him on a call today, unfortunately, but we can bring him on screen. So here he is. William of Occam, folks. He's a 14th century friar. And if you're having a Ouija board session tonight, we highly recommend invoking William of Occam. Especially if you believe nonsense about science. He'll probably help you out. And basically what it means is, it is the law of parsimony. It literally translates to, entities must not be multiplied beyond necessity. In other words, you could paraphrase by saying, the simplest explanation is usually the best one. So there you go. There's some wisdom from the ages there. From William of Ockham, the famed Occam's razor guy. Which brings me to an important point. Somebody else came up with a very elegant and simple theory as to why that does that. And you may have never heard of him. It seems like most people that I talk to about heliophysics have never heard of him, which is kind of weird, as the paper is nearly 10 years old. So this October, folks, this October, the paper, the title of which is 40 Lines of Condensed Matter, the Sun on Trial, Liquid Metallic Hydrogen as a Solar Building Block. It was published in October of 2013, which means the 10-year anniversary of Robitaille's paper suggesting that stars are not made of gaseous plasma, but instead condensed matter. It's pretty berserk when you think of it. But in any case, at least some progress is occurring here. Now, it takes a while. It takes a while, especially the more convoluted the theory is, folks, the harder it is to get people to go, hey, wake up. Wake up then. So, like, you got to give people time, because this kind of thing, when I heard this theory, it hurt my brain real bad, right? As I realized the implications on cosmology. So it's a very crazy thing. And, you know, all I can say is don't stay in your lane, folks. Don't stay in your lane. Because what happened was Dr. Robitaille, Pierre Marie, as he's referred to by some of us, is a zoologist who became a chemist, who became a radiologist. I'm not going to go over his achievements at all, as I'm only interested in citing this paper, but he's cited thousands of times in science papers, mainly in the field of mRNA. We pause this video for a station identification. Robitaille is not known for mRNA. He's known for NMRI, nuclear magnetic resonance imaging. Oh, geez. Anyway, he's got 40 lines of evidence suggesting that the white light spectrum and many other features that we note on the sun using modern scientific techniques, at least 40 of those things can be explained by condensed matter. So this is kind of important because of the implications on cosmology. And what's more important about that is the implications of superionized materials on human technology. So keep this in mind, as this is going to be a recurring theme. You see that lattice structure? It doesn't like to emit photons perpendicular to its surface, which is very flat, by the way. Also, interestingly enough, sunspots are very flat, by the way. So perhaps not a coincidence there. So many of the features, including why sunspots are dark, why the limbs are brighter in extreme ultraviolet and in X-ray frequencies, why large flares are more likely at the limbs, and many, many other features are explained by condensed matter. Ultimately, what this means, in my opinion, is that stars are much more stable than practically anybody currently believes. And it's amazing that it's controversial to suggest that a thing is more stable aka less prone to violent outbursts, at least absent some significant stimulus. So, of course, gaseous plasmas are very volatile, and liquid is not really that volatile. So, anyway, that's the point. Is it possible that the closest star has a solid core, which is basically doing nothing except sitting around and emitting a magnetic field? It explains a lot of things. How else would helioseismology happen if the sun's solar body was not made of some sort of a liquid? Transverse waves are one of the many features that fly in the face of gaseous stellar models. Is it likely that all stars are made of condensed matter and not gaseous plasmas? It would explain the lack of phase state changes that we see, or in this case don't see, in cosmology. My forecast for Betelgeuse is that it's not going to do much. Now, it is interesting that more carbon has been recently detected in Betelgeuse. Or, wait, its carbon fusion is ceased or something? Something has happened with its carbon fusion, allegedly. So, this could mean something. However, I suspect that Betelgeuse is not going to change states. Now, of course, that would be quite interesting if it did, as it would lead to lots of astronomers on planet Earth. The same way the last 3 years have led to lots of virologists on planet Earth. So, ultimately, it would be a good thing for cosmology. If Betelgeuse did change states, I just don't think Betelgeuse is going to change states. I find it highly unlikely. So, if you haven't read the paper, read the paper. It has hundreds of other peer-reviewed paper citations. It does explain the solar opacity problem, or solar opacity problem. The reason why light behaves in such a weird way according to the standard ideas of the internal nuclear fusion dynamo stellar core. This theory also better explains the relatively stable magnetic fields that we talked about earlier, that kind of just hang out at the poles at solar minimum, and then oddly and slowly, as we've watched through the past few years on the channel, switch poles. Well, actually, I suppose Robitaille's theory alone does not explain why the polar field reversal processes happen. But guess what? They may explain coronal holes. Why? Because, well, coronal holes could be caused by intercalate gases escaping from between the lattice layers. So when this happens, these will break apart, they'll repel each other, they'll create chaos in between there. That'll have to reform into a lattice structure. You'll have free electrons hanging out, which want to perform chemical reactions to the intercalate gases as they escape. So you've got ions, you've got electrons, you've got all the things you need for the chemical soup that you see in the solar corona. It is a valid proposed building block for what is going on, unlike any of the current proposed building blocks that are generally accepted in sort of all of cosmology. Now, does this mean all cosmologists are morons? No. Does it mean that all their observations are irrelevant? Not even in the slightest. The observations are as relevant as they've always been. What it boils down to is what those observations actually mean. So check it out. Here's some interesting stuff. Here you've got the way the different chemicals behave in the corona. So here you've got helium at 20,000 degrees, oxygen at 250,000 degrees, neon at 400,000 degrees, calcium at 630,000, magnesium at 1 million, and iron at 2 million degrees. Different chemicals align very differently to those magnetic fields in their ionic states. They don't like holding on to electrons when they're at those temperatures. So, anyway, read the freaking paper if you haven't read it. If you want to keep arguing with me about how stars work, if you don't understand this paper, I don't suspect you understand how stars work. And it's even weirder, folks. Believe it or not. This is why we're in the process of composing another paper. Probably actually 2 or 3 or 6 more papers, because we have to sort of break down what we think these mechanisms actually are. So, I completely think that the sun has a solid core, and then it has liquid outside of that. So there's a fine example of a thing that doesn't really happen when it comes to gas. You can't really have this sort of transverse wave. And yet you see them occasionally when you have coronal mass ejection events. This is one of the best examples I've ever seen, by the way. Back on July 9th, 1996. So anyway, and you know, I did zero research. I'm just scrolling the paper here, folks. You know, because I'm not really prepared to talk about all of these different features. This paper is hundreds of pages long, and it contains valid arguments here. And let's don't even get started on Kirchhoff's law. So let me just say this. The hardest question I asked Robitaille was, dude, how are we going to rewrite cosmology? How would you rewrite cosmology? All right? Because I'm not rewriting it. I don't have a PhD in anything. Robitaille has 3 of them. So, I mean, like, we seriously need to have, like, Robitaille, Scove, Brian Keating, Weinstein. We have to get Anton Petrov all onto the same page when it comes to this stuff, because the future of your soul may depend on it. All right, just kidding, folks. It's not going to have any effect on your soul. Your soul will be fine. But it could have massive effects on things like human technology, because understanding superionized materials and how they may pertain to human technology is something that definitely should be understood. I mean, hydrogen is extremely, extremely, extremely common in the universe. And the idea that inside of all those stars, why is it that every time a star explodes, folks, there's so much hydrogen comes out of them, right? Why is that? How come all the supernoval clouds that we see have so much hydrogen? I mean, we see shell layers where there are different materials, suggesting perhaps fusion happened at the surface as the explosions happened. There are definitely explosions going on in space, right? But how come so much hydrogen comes out all the time? Why is that? Doesn't it seem kind of weird? If a supernova consumes all of the lighter elements before supernovaing, why is there so much hydrogen? It's because stars have stellar cores that are made of solid metallic hydrogen. And outside of that, the stellar mantles. Stellar mantles are made of liquid metallic hydrogen. And it's basically inert. It's just a strong, it's a metal. It's a metal that has free electrons. So if you sweep everything off the surface of a star, and then you drop some chemicals on it, it'll create neutral material there very quickly. And if you drop a lot of stuff onto the surface of a star, it'll create a lot of neutral stuff quickly. and it'll emit a bunch of light while doing so. So there's that. I guess that's pretty controversial, but hey, that's what, if you're not pushing the bar, folks, if you're not pushing the bar, then you're reciting, you're not doing science. Science is saying stuff that is controversial until people figure out the actual physics behind it. That's how real science works. All of this nonsense about, oh, I can't collaborate with this person, and this dude doesn't like this guy because he said the CMB is fake. Like, all of that stuff is just complete nonsense. That is complete nonsense for prima donna idiots who aren't interested from a good faith perspective on the actual science. Some of us want to know how stuff really works. Some of us want to become famous. There's a huge difference. And yeah, I'm going to take one more break, and I'm going to come back and rant about terrestrial news stories. I've got a browser tab open. Let's bring up a different wavelength here before your soul ends up in the wavelength of the river Styx. Just kidding, folks. Your soul will be fine. And by the way, if people are really worried about your soul, it's pretty creepy. Like, why are you so worried about my soul, dude? My soul? You're that worried about my soul? Okay. Aren't you worried about what I'm doing on this plane of existence? Like, my soul is your concern? What the hell's the matter with you? Why are you worried about my soul? Why is it such a big deal? Oh, are you going to hook me up in the afterlife? That they didn't have a gold piece buried with them, as per Greek myth. They'll eventually be cast into the river Styx, possibly chewed up by the three-headed dog Cerberus, where he'll digest them for 1,000 years and then poop them into the river Styx. Later, they'll be reincarnated as noob souls who don't know anything. That's your Greek mythology lesson of the day, the river Styx. We hope your soul has not been cast into an ever-deepening and darkening abyss of death, destruction, and doo-doo Cerberus diarrhea in the river Styx. In Zeus's name. Odin called and said, "Dear God, where is Thor?" Otherwise known as Tor. Anyway, I ain't tore you a new one. I'll be right back. We'll talk terrestrial news here at the Smash News Network. Least busted name in terrestrial news. All right, when I come back, we're doing a toast. Everybody get ready, get a beverage. We're doing a toast when I come back. All right, dudes, get your beverages. It's time. It's time to do a toast. And yes, we're not encouraging anybody to drink alcoholic beverages or any kind of beverages, but yeah, it's toast. It's a toast time for the toast. If you ain't toasting, then you're toast. So I'm breaking out I'm going nuts. I'm breaking out a club soda here. I'm going to go berserk. And I'll raise a can to smashomash.org, the newly founded Science Foundation. And if there's anything you'd like us to do, drop us a line. You can find the contact info at smashomash.com. Don't ask us who's on the board. The board is classified. I'm not telling you who they are. They could vote me out. So anyway, cheers to the board. Those of you who have, at massive personal risk and expense, decided to do the job that nobody else is doing, what we've talked about earlier in the video. Advancing both human technology, cosmology, and even earth science. Things like geology. Look out, folks. They're about to be rewritten. It's berserk. It's freaking crazy. Planets don't form the way you think they do. It's way weirder than that, folks. I'm telling you. It's these things, these data, folks, these data are not, space is weird. Cheers. Once again, shout out to Eugene the Philosopher. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, or your soul will be... You get the idea about the souls. Eugene the Philosopher. Don't make Zeus turn Cerberus loose on your soul. And subscribe to Eugene's channel. I'll put it in the freaking chat again, folks. I'm not kidding. Subscribe now, or a giant 8-foot-tall at the shoulder 3-headed dog may tear you to bits and poop you into the river Styx. It's just a giant demon dog, folks. It's the original demon dog, okay? Did you see The Omen? You saw The Omen, right? There's a devil dog, Satan's snack, to quote, who is that, Mike Birbiglia? There's a devil dog in The Omen, okay? A devil dog. The original devil dog is a Greek myth, Cerberus, the 3-headed giant demonic dog that guards the gates of Hades. Duh. Yeah, the giant demonic 8-foot-tall at the shoulder 3-headed dog. I mean, I'm imagining what happens is if you try to sneak around and get through the gates or get out of the gates, Cerberus eats your soul and then poops it into the river Styx after digesting it for 1,000 years. Right? And then, what happens? The ultimate insult. When your soul hits the river Styx, you forget everything you ever knew. You become a complete noob. No matter how smart you were, you're a complete noob now. You know nothing. And you get reincarnated as just a new random noob. Could you imagine that? It's the ultimate Greek insult. That's why the Greeks' enemies didn't bury them with a gold piece. Because then, without the gold piece, you can't sail down the river Styx in Charon's boat and whoops, into the gates of Hades. That's where your soul belongs. You get to remain you then. But if you end up in the river Styx erases your memory. If you're a god, it becomes armor, right? Because being able to forget is a godlike power. So, of course, you may not want to access Eugene's godlike powers. It could be like the movie Firestarter, as we do not encourage anybody to push Eugene too far. His psychic powers could melt you through your computer screen. So don't get on. He'll Professor Xavier you or something. He'll telekinetically stir your heart like Darth Vader. Imagine if you could just poke somebody in the heart. That's one of the things Darth Vader does, that's why the Force is so funny, right? It's a little known thing that Darth Vader is so messed up, okay? Anakin was hurt so badly in his battle on Mustafar or something with Obi-Wan or someone that he can barely walk. Dude, his boots don't even fit right. Darth Vader's boots do not fit right. And here's what does fit right. We encourage people like you to be able to slip straight from being completely serious to being completely silly with absolutely no warning. What's coming is pretty serious. It's space weather. It's going to affect things like communications. It's already affecting things like communications. It could even knock down some power grids. I mean, it's distinctly possible that California could see some serious spikes because of the timing of the recent space weather. So, it's always exciting. If you haven't seen the daily space weather videos, go watch them, because I'm not going to repeat all of that same 50 minutes of stuff that we covered this morning. But yeah, visit the links and support the channel, especially if you prefer to see the content continue to exist. Let me get through the chats, because there are still a lot that I haven't seen. And thanks everybody for leaving comments. May your souls be cast into a level abyss where the souls are supposed to be and hang out with each other and do soul things together. Yes. How about some other wavelengths here? What do we got? What else we got here? We haven't shown... we haven't shown... This is like the best one. We almost never show it on the channel. We save it. We shave it just to show to people like you. Wait. That's not what I meant. We save it to show on lovely videos like this to lovely people like you. That's just today. That, by the way, that's 7/19. The ever popular 171 angstroms plus the colorized magnetogram. You gotta love it. The SDO browse data feature. It's just a delight. It is a delight. And we realized 6 years ago that we could put out space weather videos that are just a bunch of fluff that should be flushed down the toilet by going, ooh, and look at the thing. There's a thing. Look at that thing. It's freaking crazy. But I was like, nah, I'm a real science nerd, so it's totally berserk. And what else? Yeah, make sure you are ready to see the aurora tomorrow night. There could be like a KP8 significant geomagnetic storm coming. It's exciting times for space weather. Cheers. The timing couldn't be better, and it was sort of by design. I mean, there were some other factors at play there, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm still trying to get to your chats here, folks. I swear to God. It's just that there are so many of them, and they're so interesting that I have to read and consider and then rant and then read and consider and then rant, which means this stream could go on for the rest of your soul's eternity in the universe, multiverse, multiplanar existence, whatever you believe in, constantly, at all times, in all universes. Oh my God. Dear God. Ah, yes. No engine. Flying around with an engine is not something a peregrine falcon has to do. So why do you have to do it? Oh, I can't fly without an engine. I can't carry my glider up a giant mountain and then jump off of it and glide away. It's so hard existing. Gravity and thick bones. Sailplanes, yes. Sailplanes are my favorite. There's nothing more humorous to laugh at the souls in the Stygian River and its tributaries than flying over them with a sailplane. Oh, the memories of flying over the souls in the river Styx with a sailplane. Those were the days. The days when souls had value and there weren't 50,000 of them every 14 seconds entering the river Styx. The banks are shoulder to shoulder nowadays. Ah, yes, all of those folks in bunkers right now, cooking like sardines, all entering the river within a few hours of each other as they asphyxiate in their own feces. That's it. That's... Somebody tried to get me to take a job, right? Get this. Somebody offered me a job where I'd be an independent contractor. All I had to do was go to people's places, climb on their roof, and, diagnose their roof problems and not make any money doing this unless they bought a roof from the company I represented. What kind of lunatic? I mean, think about how insane this is. They want their people to go climb on a roof. Well, it's... Have you seen any ridiculous job offers? Let us know in the comments. I mean, I've got some legit job offers too, but I've still turned them down because there have been red flags. Red flags, folks, I tell you. Red flags. Ah, yes, you're talking about the Haruni telescope. Yes, the Haruni telescope. Yep. It is a background noise eliminating design. The physics of the design itself, the integral design of the telescope's horn, is one of the few, the proud, the telescopes that really eliminates noise. The Haruni telescope, folks. Just reading comments. I apologize for the dead air, but I'll tell you this. The dead air is vastly superior to dead souls. Yeah, dead souls. Still reading your comments. I'm just stepping to the thing out of place. We've constructed a dimensional barrier right here by the sun, and I just passed through the dimensional barrier and I'm not burned. There we go. I've gated back into your pathetic universe. Ah, yes, the prime material plane, where the dregs of the universe reside. Congratulations, I'm doing my time in the trenches to talk to you fools. to talk to you morons about space weather. You imbeciles. You know, folks, I think we got to make an imbecile. What do you think? An imbeciles design, right? I'm not really saying that you're imbeciles, you idiots, or morons or anything like that, but we got to make it. We got to make a design that is imbeciles, because The thing that people don't realize, folks, all right, it's not like a moron or an idiot, because imbecile is an adjective. Yeah, imbecile is an adjective, dudes, which means you can be an imbecile. How you like that? Yeah. It's not like an idiotic idiot or a moronic moron, is it? It's an imbecile. Look it up. Look it up, you sons of... You can be an imbecile. Now watch this. I'm going to float to the side. Right through a dimensional portal. Yeah. Any dimensional portal I can build, you can't build as good. I can build any dimensional portal better than you. Now I'm going to come back. My dimensional portal is so good that sound travels through it. Now don't be a nerd. God. What do you watch, Star Wars instead of Star Trek? What the hell is the matter with you? Oh yeah, I've got Disney stock. Gene Roddenberry sold me a bunch of Disney stock. I don't know why. I'm still on the comments, folks. And, if you leave any more comments, I may dehydrate and die before this video ends. So, if you want to see that. Ah, yes, Rory Blake says kicking is functional. I like this. He must be viewing the Instagram account. Yeah, view us on Instagram. I put up cross-training info about being an elite athlete. Yes. You'll find us at Smash-O-Mash. I think it's pretty easy to do. Kimberly said she has to decide whether or not to run to town. She's not sure how many souls she'll be able to gather to fuel her trip back to her subterranean lair. Kimberly's bunker is over 6 stories deep, by the way. It is a bunker that you do not want to try to debunk, lest your soul be debunked. Debunked into Cerberus's bowels. Cerberus's bowels. That would be a good name for a band, right? Cerberus's bowels. The demon dog who's been consuming souls. Cerberus's bowels. Yeah, check it out, folks. Kimberly, thanks for bringing it up. It's new underwear day, folks. Yep. It looks like the kind of tablecloth that you would have if you wanted to hide guacamole stains. So, new underwear day. I'm super stoked about new underwear day. Unfortunately, I can't recommend it. I'm gonna try to find an endorsement. I'm gonna get sponsored by the company that makes these particular underwear because I tried to put a link in the video. I swear to God, I actually looked it up on the Amazon affiliate. I was gonna put it in the spaceware, but nope. And do I make videos regularly in my underwear? Yep. I mean, the wardrobe here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, is shocking. So, I mean, Smash staff, she wears a combination of animal skins and leather. And then, of course, all the fish, they wear weird, like, Mad Max looking stuff. They all have mohawks and things. It's pretty berserk. And we're trying to get people to refine their fashion choices, because folks, grunge is coming back. So don't chase fads, set trends. All right, I say it all the time, in the YouTube live premiere chats. I say, hey, don't chase fads, set trends. You notice how guys right now they're wearing like a shirt with a pattern on it, and then a tie with a different pattern, and then a kerchief with a different pattern, and then a plain jacket or something like that. All these mixed patterns. That is a fad. That is never going to be classic fashion. That is going to be classically an eyesore. Just like navy blue with black. Like, I wear navy blue with black when I want to remember that I'm injured. For real. Like, I'm not kidding. When I'm black and blue, I literally wear navy blue and black, and I don't care. Because I have a lot of clothing in both colors. And if I'm injured, I don't care. And the clothing reminds me that I'm injured, which makes my fashion shite. And by the way, I'm a collector of these shirts, and you can't buy this one, but you can buy several much better Hawaiian shirts on the Amazon shop. So check it out. I mean, the live streams, they do have a paid affiliate, paid promotion, whatever YouTube says. And, the top choices. You might be able to find this on Amazon, but you can certainly find our more current choices. I've got quite the Hawaiian shirt collection. And I actually have to try to find one of the oldest ones that I had, or maybe even make my own, because the original Hawaiian shirt was from back in maybe 99, 2000. So I'm pushing 25 years of Hawaiian shirt collection. Yes. Back in the mid-90s, I started watching Magnum P.I. And, I mean, if you've never seen Magnum P.I., check it out. It's one of the best shows ever made. It's up there with Star Trek TNG, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Trailer Park Boys, Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Breaking Bad. It's on that same list. And by the way, Kimberly, notice how I only showed the lower thigh, because a man's upper thigh should never be viewed. It's like looking at an arc welder. Like, don't look at a man's upper thigh. It shouldn't be displayed or viewed. There should be 2 or 3 or 4 layers between a man's upper thigh and your eyeball. For goodness sakes. Could cosmic ray flux please erase any man's upper thigh? And why is Gordon Ramsay showing his ass on Hotel Hell? What is that? That's the hell of Hotel Hell. All of these shows like Bar Rescue, right? What's the best feature of Bar Rescue? It's watching these places that are shattered. That's what's fun. Not the trying to remake the place. I mean, it's so depressing. But it's like watching the first couple episodes of American Idol. You want to watch the people that are the worst, not the ones that... Who cares about the next pop star? What you really care about is watching a complete disaster, like the Jerry Springer Show, right? Why is the Jerry Springer show appealing? It's because you're watching stuff that's even shystier than whatever you're up to. Oh, man. Oh, wait. Oh, I stepped into another plane of existence. Watch. I'll go backwards. It's crazy. I can turn the sound effects on or off at will. Oh, boy. All right, so, yeah, and by the way, The solar storm that's coming tomorrow is not going to kill us all. It's not going to melt your silverware. It's not going to require a bunker. Good God, it's not it's not going to require anything like that. All right. Once again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. I've been trying to end this thing for 45 minutes now, but people like you keep leaving comments, so people like me keep ranting. And thanks for that, by the way, as I like to rant. By the way, I've submitted an application to be one of the writers for Razor Fist, a.k.a. Razor Fist? What else is he called? The Rageaholic. The Rageaholic. Check him out on YouTube if you haven't seen him. His rants are epic. And no, he is not a right-wing conservative. He worships the devil or something. He's definitely not a right-wing conservative. Seems like a heck of a guy. I would give him a shot in the arm for all of his efforts about citing facts. In fact, let's have a toast to facts. All right. Cheers. Here's to facts. Still controversial in the year 2023. If you want to be punk rock, go on YouTube and be like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. And people will be like, the letter I is oppressing people. Your letters are killing people. And chemtrails. That's CGI! Go get a poster! Seriously, people are having a stroke on the internet about... They're like... You don't believe in chemtrails? Get a booster, bro. What? Get a booster? Get a booster because chemtrails. What the hell kind of an argument is that? That's like saying, hey, you don't believe in premarital sex? Well, why don't you go to the podiatrist? I guess. How did you know I was into foot jobs anyway? I'm kidding. It's hyperbole. I'm not into foot jobs. Feet are gross. Don't touch mine. I don't want to touch yours. Keep your feet the hell away from me. There's fungus on them and things. No feet. You could have stubs. That's as hot as feet. Imagine how tiny your high heels could be if you had stubs. It'd be like having a hoofed foot. That'd be awesome. Think about it, Kimberly. If you just hacked your whole foot off, you'd be a little shorter. A lot of women who are 6 feet tall, they want to be shorter. They could just remove the foot at the ankle and have like a hoof with a stiletto heel at the bottom of it. That would be great. They'd be very stable eventually. Like riding a unicycle. By the way, if you've watched the Tour de France today, do not leave a comment about what happened in the Tour de France today. We haven't watched it. And I guess we will. But you sons of... keep leaving comments. Which means we may never be able to end this stream. It may have to go on for the rest of the existence of your soul. Okay, this just in. That doesn't have to go on for the rest of the existence of your soul. That would be catastrophic to my patience. I would start have to crushing souls. All right, it looks like the feed is back. And it looks like your souls have remained in the prime material plane of existence. Congratulations. Please visit the links in the description if you'd like these videos to remain in this plane of existence. We would prefer to continue making them. And I mean, we're only, I don't know, like, geez, what is it at this point? It's probably about 40K per year in the hole. So, yeah. Visit the links and just realize that we aren't screwing around when it comes to that. This isn't some kind of hobby. What's going on here anyway? Dag. That is a lot of sunspots. And you can only expect more, by the way. So, yeah, we are running way too long here. And this video has been completely, like, nothing worthy of demonetization has been said whatsoever, which is, it's probably not demonetized. All right, an update, folks. This video has been demonetized for your viewing displeasure. So it will be harder for everybody that you see. Everybody that you know will have a harder time seeing this video if you don't press the share button. The video is currently demonetized, which means it will not be recommended to anybody, and it will be buried in search. So maybe you care, maybe you don't, but there's what's currently going on for sunspots. And dag, that is a lot of sunspots. Plus we got CMEs arriving tomorrow, very likely. I mean, what's even going on with the current solar wind and so on? I haven't looked for quite a while. And things are chilling, so we should get a good signal here when impact time arrives. So we had a little weak impact here earlier. Since then, a heaping helping of nothing. Things are very chill. And of course, the likelihood of additional action is just about 100%, pretty much for every category. Whether it's solar flares, incoming space weather like geomagnetic storms, and additional CMEs. I guess we haven't really looked at what's been going on today for CMEs. As if there's not enough stuff happening. Not that. See what happened today? Geomagnetic storm? People are like, no, what are you talking about? Yeah, quit smoking. You're like, what? Yeah, I quit smoking. I quit drinking too. Oh, great. Thanks for the link. We'll definitely it's hey folks, we've got a QAnon link, I think. I believe I've decoded this. Pedo professor. I'm not clicking that. And crazily enough, We don't censor any comments, so feel free to respond to that comment as you will. By the way, maybe criminal. We prefer that people don't put unvetted links to YouTube videos in our live stream chats. It pisses me off. So please don't do it, because I'll berate you. Oh no, the MSM is covering it up. The MSM is covering up this video. So you should be somewhere sharing this video, not whatever that is. The point is, if you put up a link to a YouTube video that I have no idea what it is, how am I going to vet it? If I click on it right now, you see that coronagraph? That will go away because that's my default browser. And if the viewers of this video click your link, guess what will happen? They might stop viewing this video. That is why we prefer for people to not put links to videos that take them away from the video that we're currently producing. We're streaming this video right now, and you're putting a link to a video besides ours. Would that piss you off if you did that? Let us know in the comments if that would piss you off. Oh, great. I'm sure it's very important. By the way, folks, we're very interested in stopping child trafficking if it's happening. So, yeah. However, unvetted videos that are just put in our comments, like this was idiotically placed in our comments there by maybe criminal, maybe just annoying, maybe criminal, I don't know. What kind of name is that? What's up with that? Jeez. This is not rocket science. This is way more complicated. As if the algorithms weren't annoying enough, you're putting up videos that pull viewers away from this video that we're currently streaming. What could possibly go wrong? Well, you could get banned, but you won't, because it's this channel. And we don't ban anybody. We just explain why we haven't banned you. So anyway, there's, let's see what's going on today. It looks like not very many CMEs so far. Oh, there's one coming out of the west. What do you got? Another one out of the west? Yeah, it's, you know what? It's somewhat behind the solar limb. So that's nothing new, but we've got a little bit of a lull in the activity here, and it's not a lot of a lull. That's why I say a little bit of a lull. It's going to be an interesting couple days. We might see some significant geomagnetic storm activity. Interestingly enough, NOAA's only forecasting a KP 5.33, but then they're saying it could possibly be as strong as a G3. So yeah, I don't know. That's about what we forecasted. So no complaints here. It's all in line with reality as far as we can tell. Let's see if we can see that CME. I think you can actually see it here below the it kind of comes out of the southwestern limb. Oh, it's right out of the equator actually. So, and the reason we had that coverage issue earlier is because it's an SDO calibration move. I streamed long enough to get through the first half of the move. Now it's going to go on the horizontal plane, the x-axis. And I'm still trying to get through your comments. I can't rant and read at the same time, so. By the way, if you haven't become a member of the Smash team, maybe consider joining the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. It's almost like Patreon, except it's our own service where we encourage all legal free speech. Smashomash.com/Smash Team. And just give me a minute here. I am getting through your comments. And you keep typing them, you sons of... I'm gonna... The next time you touch your keyboard or your smartphone, I will electroshock you. It'll be like touching a taser. Go ahead, I dare you. It's going to be like licking a 9-volt battery. Go ahead, try to leave a comment. You'll regret it. You'll regret it. I dare you, son of a piece. Go ahead. Ha! How you like that? Jeez, oh whiz. Yowzers, there is a lot of commentary in the chat. All right. I would request that none of you hunt each other down and, show each other your junk. Please don't do that. That could be construed as a request for a date, or perhaps as something much worse. Rory Blake says he has a patent pending on the evolution of humans. I don't think the U.S. Department of Patents and Trademarks is going to approve your patent. Somehow I think it's going to remain in pending status, Rory. What is that going to do for you anyway? What are you going to do, make a product? You're going to make a product for the evolution of humans? It makes no sense. It's a brilliant idea. It's a cute gimmick. But what's it actually going to do there, Rory? Yes, Cerberus's bowels. Kimberly, yes, underwear is uniform for video work. Don't be looking at my legs. One of them is visible on Instagram. We don't show both at the same time because women view Instagram and men see Instagram. But fortunately, I will not show my upper thigh, a part of a man's leg that should never be shown, including mine. By the way, interesting fact, most riders in the Tour de France, their legs do not look particularly special. They usually, the fastest guys, like the guys that win the Tour de France, their legs look pretty basic. They don't look stacked. Because they're pretty skinny dudes. They're able to go uphill really fast for a long time, and you can't have a lot of mass on you. From the first bike race I ever did, when the first bike race I ever did featured a dude who was stacked. He was. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds, just stacked in all the right places or whatever, except for bike races. He was stacked in all the right places except for bike races. And I saw him, and he was on a $4,000 bike in 1997, and that's a very expensive bike for 1997. It was a Cannondale Raven carbon fiber full suspension bike with tri-spoke carbon fiber wheels, which was not normal back then. It was probably more like $6,000, but very expensive bike. And I saw that guy and I said, I'm glad to see him here because he is not any kind of a competition. I knew, my brain did the math right away. I was like, oh, that guy's not going to be at the bike race at the end. And sure enough, that dude who was stacked doesn't make a bike go fast. You got to be purpose-built, folks. You got to be purpose-built. If you're really fast on the bike, you'll probably be utter garbage on the gymnastics, upper body stuff, right? So you got to give up something to get something else with everything pretty much in the universe. And if you want to understand cosmology, you got to give up the old heliophysics. It's shattered. It's done. It's just a matter of mopping up the mess that was created in all of cosmology. Fortunately, we have AI. So this is something on which let's end the video with something on which Elon Musk and I do agree on. So we need AI to rewrite cosmology. In other words, if you feed a lot of data into a model that uses this or that theory of how stars really work, you'll be able to promptly figure out which one looks like reality and which one looks like whoops-ality. So that's an interesting one. So check out x.ai. Yeah, x.ai. That's the latest startup by Elon Musk. If you're a physicist, cosmologist, plasma physicist, if you're just a technology person, or very importantly, if you're somebody who's interested in the interface between technology and humans, in other words, the problem that the reason that people have such a low baud rate, meaning how much information you're able to transfer back and forth like a modem, the reason your baud rate is so low is because of the interface. You're using a thing like this, a keyboard, to try to type. I mean, frankly, my keyboard is way faster than anything else. Now, voice-to-text software is fine. It's been perfected for over 20 years now, but most people don't use it because for some reason it's like, where's all the voice-to-text software? I mean, it barely works. Like on your smartphone, voice-to-text, are you kidding me? It's barely functional. It's all over the place. It doesn't store a local dictionary, and it has to talk to the internet all the time. So no local dictionary, has to talk to the internet, and it doesn't learn anything. It's dumb. It's dumb. So most AI at the moment is just a pile of garbage. And I don't care how much poetry ChatGPT 4 or whatever wrote, it's just a pile of garbage. But as far as Elon trying to tie together how the universe works and AI, I'm on the same page for that. So that is a positive note for once for Elon. Censorship continues on Twitter. Investment scams continue with various companies. I'm not going to get into that, but the AI plus cosmology represents one of the solutions. And I think since a lot of people are paying attention, it might be an important new feature moving forward with how to rewrite it. Because again, the hardest question I asked Robitaille was that, how would you rewrite cosmology in light of these ideas that stars are made of condensed matter and not gaseous plasmas? In light of these ideas, oh hey, I guess we're back live. All I had to do was reset the PC, no big deal. So I'm going to go back to my plane of existence. And yeah, good luck in the meantime. Oh, look, I've materialized. Anyway, time to gate out. And good luck with this prime material plane of existence.